softened when Hitler came to power in 1933 and began to call for the return of the Volksdeutsche to the fatherland. Steiniger recalled, very nearly all of us Germans living on the Czech side of the Saxon border were thrilled by the news. In response, the Czech government banned Hitler's Nazi party but grudgingly tolerated the burgeoning Sudeten-German party. The Sudeten Germans welcomed Hitler when he took possession of the Sudetenland 5 years later. Sunday, the 10th of October 1938, was the day of our liberation, said Steiniger with evident pride. In 1940, thanks to his German origins, Steiniger was conscripted into the German army. He set off from his home in Langogest for Beraun via Prague, where he was to join the 21st Infantry Signals Reserve Company. Sent to occupied Brittany, he was assigned to the signals platoon of the 151st Infantry Regiment. That summer, the Red Army, which was already occupying eastern Poland thanks to the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, invaded Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Steiniger's fate was to serve there as a frontline radio operator. By early 1941, he and his regiment were in East Prussia ready for the invasion of the Soviet Union. They moved to the city of Memel, the capital of the Volksdeutsche region known as the Memelland, taken from Lithuania only 2 years earlier. Major General Siegfried Heinecker and the men of his 61st Infantry Division, part of the German 18th Army, braced themselves for the coming battle. Steiniger's regiment was commanded by Colonel Walter Melzer. On the 22nd of June 1941, at 03:15 hours, our artillery opened fire. The grey dawn thundered with shell fire, noted Steiniger. Fear overcame me, I sweated, my stomach revolted. This bombardment heralded Operation Barbarossa, Hitler's titanic assault on Joseph Stalin's totalitarian Soviet Union. Steiniger would soon learn to hate his heavy radio, which only had a range of 3 kilometers, unless it was used to transmit Morse. He also took with him his camera, as did many of his comrades. It was not long before Steiniger was witnessing the truly destructive powers of modern warfare. As we passed the mangled wreckage of Russian tanks, I glanced inside one or two. The dead Russians were seated, fallen forward, their uniforms torn, drenched in blood. It seemed to Steiniger, and indeed the rest of the German army, that nothing could withstand the Nazi onslaught. His regiment headed for the Lithuanian-Latvian border. It was apparent to Steiniger that their blitzkrieg was invincible. We came to a place where evidently our Luftwaffe had surprised the remnants of the Russian T-26 tank division during its retreat and wiped it out. He recounts with candor the terrible death of a Russian soldier. His head was missing except the tongue and jawbone. Steiniger and his comrades at the end of June crossed over into Latvia and on into Estonia, where he witnessed the Red Army's total disregard for taking prisoners. While other Wehrmacht units pressed on toward the elusive prize of Leningrad, Steiniger's division was left to clear the Russians from Estonia. He notes with interest that many surrendering Soviet soldiers claimed to be Ukrainians in the hope of receiving preferential treatment. He also recalls the warm welcome received by the people of the Baltic states, glad to be rid of the Red Army. By the end of the year, he was beyond the Volkhov River and found himself enduring temperatures of minus 30 degrees Celsius. There he had to sit out the bitter Russian winter with inadequate cold-weather clothing. In the spring of 1942, the river flooded, inundating many of his division's bunkers. He was then granted leave for the very first time since being conscripted. When he returned to his unit, his company commander arranged an unauthorized ceasefire with the Russian company facing them. This permitted the men to enjoy 3 days of gloriously unhindered sunbathing. The following year, Steiniger was involved in the fierce battles around Lake Ladoga near Leningrad. His regiment went into action by bus. It was during this fighting that the god of war smiled on Steiniger. For although he was hit in the spine by shrapnel, miraculously he was not paralyzed. The military surgeon, erring on the side of caution, decided not to operate and let Steiniger keep his souvenir. He later returned to his unit to learn of the loss of the German 6th Army at Stalingrad. By the summer of 1943, it was apparent that the Red Army was determined to liberate besieged Leningrad whatever the cost. This, though, did not happen until early 1944. The Red Army launched an offensive that crushed Army Group North on the 14th of January 1944 and finally forced the Germans away from Leningrad. Soviet forces contained in the Oranienbaum bridgehead also